Today, we're getting into another deep dive episode with my co-host, Lana Elie. Lana is the founder of Floom, the premium flower marketplace that redefined how people shop for floral gifts. Over nearly a decade, Lana built Floom into a beloved platform for independent florists across the US and UK, raising $10 million in venture funding, scaling a team across 2 geographies, and landing features in Vogue, Forbes, and the New York Times. Earlier this year, she sold Floom to a strategic here in the US without any M&A support.
I built something that people wanted, and that was represented in the fact that people used it. But I also built something that a strategic buyer wanted, and I followed through to the point of, even though I wanted out transparently, to making sure it had a home and it had a good outcome and the team had a place to go and it lived on.
So we're gonna dive into how and why she did that.
What an intro.
What an intro. Okay, let's get started. Selling your company, it's your baby. It's such an emotional and confusing thing, really. And I mean, Max and I talk all the time about when the right time to sell Bala is. We talk about it probably weekly, if not monthly, and we're not ready at all. But I'm just saying it's topical. So how did you know it was the right time to sell?
I mean, I think if you're starting, and actually this isn't necessarily true, but most of the time, if you're starting a venture-backed business, you have the intentions to sell, right? That was never, I didn't start this with the intention to be doing this for the rest of my life. So it was top of mind. Truthfully, I think I just stopped loving it.
Wow.
I feel like that's the worst answer.
No,
as opposed to this was the best timing. It was more that I just didn't want to be doing it anymore.
Wow. And so how long? Floom was around 10 years or how?
Yeah, I started it in 2016.
So 10 years.
Yeah, I started it when I was 26. It took the majority of my 30s. No, it took it from me. It was one of the best experiences of my life. Mm-hmm. But I definitely was ready for change. And obviously, if the circumstances were different, it was going through an immense amount of growth and we were still raising venture and that was the path that was happening, maybe it would have felt differently. But it had moved to more of a lifestyle, profitability focused business over the last few years. And I just felt like I was ready for something new.
When did you stop loving it?
It's hard to tell because you know what it's like when you run a company.
Yeah.
You stop loving it and then you fall in love with it again.
Yes.
And I think running a company is about harnessing those moments and using them and not jumping the minute you feel like this sucks. For most people who are listening who don't know, we started as a consumer marketplace and then we pivoted to a B2B marketplace. And post-COVID, when we had to move to profitability, we cut away all of those kind of R&D work streams. And I think I had invested so much into that B2B part of the business. And I was really getting excited about changing an industry versus just being another flower company. And when we cut that away, I think it cut away a little bit of what my dream for it was. And it made me have to take steps backwards for the sake of the company. And it was the right thing to do. And it had benefit around the fact that, we became more profitable. We weren't building technologies and chasing new leads when the world was kind of moving around us and we didn't know what was going to happen with raising new funds. But I definitely was personally affected by, in some ways I think I felt like I was going backwards to what it originally started as. And it was hard to get back into it.
So then, how many years ago, was it a year ago when you were I'm going to sell? When you decided you were going to go for it?
We tried to run a process, maybe for different reasons, but we tried to run a process in 2021.
Okay. To sell. Okay.
And we were still a B2B and B2C business. We were a 25-person team. We were burning $200,000 a month. We were a very, very different business. And we were, as everyone else was kind of freaking out at the end of that year, seeing the post-COVID slump and was okay, what is the best option for us here. So we had M&A support and board support and went out to run a proper process. During that process, everyone came back to me and was like, we'll buy this, but the first thing you'll have to do is like make it profitable. And so in my head, I was like, well, I could do that on my own. Like I've presented that strategy. Yeah. I could do that on my own and hold on to my shares as opposed to work for someone else. So that's why we didn't take a deal at that point.
Okay, got it. So you were just like your eyes were on profitability and then you were like, I'll sell it later.
Yeah. I was like, I would rather, if everyone's interested in this being profitable, I would rather go through that journey on my own and then have a better outcome or see if I can take it back to growth. At that point, it wasn't that I didn't still love it. It felt like a required means to an end, given how much cash we were burning. And then, I went through the process of profitability and did that successfully and had a baby. And you just kind of come back from that being like, okay, like, what is my life?
Yeah, for
What's
sure.
next? Is this it? And for how much longer? And as I got closer and closer to 10 years, I started to think like, okay, maybe this isn't the final thing for me.
Right. Yeah. And you had other ideas and stuff like that.
And you know what it's like. Once you've started one company, you think you can start 100. And that was starting to itch at me as I had all of these other ideas and I didn't want to diversify because I didn't want to not follow through with finishing Floom out in some sort of capacity.
Yeah, interesting. Okay. But then when you actually sold it this time, you did it without M&A support. So how did you do that? That seems hard. And then also, like, why?
I think having used M&A before and we paid $50,000 a month for them and then there was like a percentage deal on whatever the purchase price would have been, I realized that I didn't need them.
But would they help you like get buyers though?
Yeah, so they have like a huge Rolodex of people.
Actually, in case there's anyone in the audience listening and they're like, what is M&A? Just tell us what M&A is. Explain it in your words.
So M&A is mergers and acquisitions. And you can essentially hire somebody or an outsourced company who runs M&A and will take you through that process. So they'll help you make the deck, they'll refine the list with you, they'll pre-prep the data room, and then they'll be part of those meetings and that process to make sure you get the best deal.
And will they bring buyers to you?
They can bring buyers to you. So they definitely have a list.
Okay.
I think when you're as strategic or as kind of unique of a company like us, like Flowers, it was very much more the strategics that were interested. Yes. Like PE was not interested transparently in companies like us at the size that we were.
Right. Okay. So it's going to be other flower companies. Okay.
Yeah. And we weren't profitable at that time. We were loss making.
Okay.
So the list was short, but also it was me who had that list. So like I already had those relationships.
Yeah. You didn't need M&A.
I didn't need M&A.
$200,000 at that point.
But like with everything, if you don't know how something works, you think it's harder than it is.
So tell it, like, what was that process like?
So first you make a CIM, which is essentially like a big deck of like everything about the company. And then you start to pull together a data room, which, will be like 5 years of accounting, 5 years of legal documents, all the contracts with your employees, like anything to start to show the buyer that there are either like live situations where you're being sued or that you do own the rights to the things that you've photographed or the technology you've built, that kind of stuff. In the M&A scenario, they started reaching out and saying like, we have a company that you might be interested in, and they send the first version of the deck and then it's just setting up meetings. It's essentially like fundraising.
Interesting. Okay. So then, and so you have your list of floral companies and you're taking meetings with them. And is it this like, dog and pony show where you're like, are they interested? Are they not? Or is it more like straightforward that when they're interested? How do you even know they have like capital to buy you? All of that.
I mean, you pick companies that you think are of a certain size for sure. I mean, if you have someone running it with M&A, like they know that you're selling, right?
Yeah.
This time round, I built a massive list, and it wasn't just strategic. Like I put Instacart on there, Deliveroo, like
oh, that's smart.
I was like, anybody who is looking into doing flowers or might in the future, the Knot, wedding websites, Zola. Like I just made a list of everyone.
And how many were on that list?
I think there was like 50 to 70 people on that list.
Okay, it's not like crazy.
Yeah, across Europe and across the US.
Okay.
And I straight up started messaging them on LinkedIn. I was like, this is my company. I've been running it for 10 years. I'm looking for a home. Let me know if you have 15 minutes to chat. And it was shocking the amount of people that responded to that.
I don't even look at my LinkedIn. That's so crazy.
It was, and I was like messaging like who I generally thought was in charge of M&A for that company. But otherwise,
what would their title
cases,
be? Like M&A or lawyers?
Yeah, it can be. I mean, there's so many different ones. It could be like strategic investments or M&A, or I would just go straight to like the CEOs or the COOs and was like, you can intro me to somebody on your team who runs this.
It's crazy. I get these messages and I'm like, I never know if it's spam. They're either interested in buying Bala or
yeah, most of them are spam.
Okay. So I'll keep ignoring them. But LinkedIn though, it sounds it's more legit because
I mean, I had no other way of reaching them. I was just like, I'm going to LinkedIn message them. And I wasn't doing like, I think a lot of people want to hide the fact that they're selling. And so they'll be like, let's do a partnership and then they don't get responses. Whereas, I was very much like,
so walk us through what
this
this said.
Sold.
Okay, I started Floom. I'm selling it.
It was like,
you want to help on a call?
Three lines. Yeah.
Wow.
I've been running it for 10 years. This is the website. You probably know about us if they are in the flower space or not.
Yep.
I'm speaking to some of your competitors.
Oh, smart. Little
little nudge.
Little like, you should be scared. They want me.
And let me know if you're interested in a 15-minute chat.
And like what percentage would respond to you?
I don't know the actual percentage, 50? But I was shocked.
Wow.
How many people responded to me.
That's crazy because I'm not going to give it away because we're going to have this person as a guest, but they ended up being reached out to on LinkedIn for that person, big company, to buy their company.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. I never think to even check my LinkedIn. I'm really going to, like, after this podcast.
I check LinkedIn every day.
So does Max, but I'm like, it's just not my platform.
No.
But that's so interesting that they all responded. Okay.
I mean, they don't all respond.
Well, no, but that you even got a good amount of responses.
Yeah. And also, like, the flower industry is pretty small.
Yeah.
Like, we kind of all know each other, and they know, like, if it's not going to them, it's going to someone else.
Right.
So I think even out of curiosity, like, you would be stupid not to get on
at least
call.
Like know what's happening in the industry.
Yeah.
Wow. That makes it, like, the way we've talked about it so far, it makes it sound like simple.
I think that the reality, okay, this is definitely going to backfire with a lot of things, is if you have seen the best of the best do it.
Yeah.
And this like M&A people we used were like
Can you
so
say
well
who
recommended.
You used or no?
It's a UK firm. Like nobody will know, but
Mm-hmm.
like so well recommended, super expensive. And seeing that it was really just like a numbers game. And once you've like raised money for your business or you've ran a business, like things aren't that hard anymore. It's just about like consistency and grit and being willing to keep moving, and also confidence. And I only had that confidence because I had seen someone else do it.
Right.
Otherwise I'd be like, oh, am I doing this right?
See, even me, I'm like, I have no idea how this works. So
totally. And it's just, you see someone else do it and you're like, yeah, I can do that.
That's interesting.
Or
so it's kind of like just kind of how you're running. You run the business in general. It's like, that's how you run it at the end to sell it.
I mean, it was the exact same up to that stage of like having calls. It was the exact same as a fundraise.
Wow. And I think at that point, like once you've been, like you said, in even if you're a CPG brand, it's like they likely can go to your Instagram and at least kind of be a degree removed and maybe they've seen you on shelf at Target, like speaking if you're a CPG brand. So it's like you're likely like 1 degree removed from that person knowing who you are anyway. So that's helpful versus like starting out fresh.
Yeah.
Like you're an established company.
Yeah, exactly.
So what was the most surprising about like the whole process this time?
I mean, there was a lot of things that like, I was like, shit, I did not expect this.
Like anything you can share?
The biggest thing was not understanding that once you got a letter of intent, at least in my scenario, it could still take months before you signed it. And then once you signed it, it still could take months to close.
Yeah, and deals can fall through.
And then once you signed it, deals fall through, which is what happened to me with our first deal.
That must be just gut-wrenching.
Honestly, it was one of the most gut-wrenching things I have ever lived through in my life. And I've been in scenarios where like I'm not going to be able to pay payroll if I don't close a round. And those were, you know what it's like.
Yes. I also was in
fucking
that
awful. And this was still one of the most emotional things I think I've ever been through in my life.
And then you're like out of steam. You've put all of your eggs in that basket. Like, how do you even pick yourself up at that point?
Literally. And you've built it up in your head.
Yeah.
As to like what that outcome looks like for the future in your life. You know, like you spend the money before you have the money.
Yes.
And you also like, you know, have endless strategy meetings, and like you're kind of like telling your team at this point because they're all doing due diligence with you. And it kind of felt like a lifeline that I guess was too good to be true. And obviously I didn't know that there was going to be another buyer on the other side. I just thought like, this is it. This is the end.
Yeah. And then you have to pick yourself back up.
You have to pick yourself back up. And also at that point I was like, can I remotivate myself to run this company again when I've believed that like it's going to get investment from this strategic buyer and this is the plan, and can I go back to what it was? But yeah, we all know it didn't work out that way because we ended up getting another buyer, but it was definitely gut-wrenching.
I've heard that you should sell your company like at least, well, who can predict this, right? But like a year before you're like burnt out sort of thing. Like you should like foresee a year before you, I guess, hate it and are burnt out. But obviously that's very hard to predict that. But like what advice can you give to people? Like how can they decide to sell their company before they hate it? Or like,
I don't know. I saw something recently that said no one ever regretted selling their company.
Really?
I saw just like in this newsletter that I subscribed to.
Interesting.
And I was thinking about that and I was like, yeah, in what scenario could you regret it? Like obviously you could sell it and then like see it do really, really well without you.
And you don't have any equity in it.
Yeah. But even then,
still your
like
baby, that'd be cool
you wanted to sell it for a reason, and you have to. I just started thinking about like my own opportunity cost. Like, what is it costing me to sit here in this company every day whilst it's not getting me closer to the outcome that I ultimately want, and it's not delivering that feeling of like excitement for me anymore.
Which is the reason we all do this.
Totally.
You know?
That alone was enough.
Yeah.
And I think it's true. Like, even if it goes off and becomes like 3-4x what I had turned it into, I don't think I will ever feel, oh, if I had stuck it out for longer, I would have had a really big lifestyle business.
Right.
Because it's not what I wanted.
You weren't passionate about it. It was time to move on.
Yeah. And I wanted to build a different size of business. And I didn't go in there trying to build a lifestyle business on day one.
And by a lifestyle business,
I mean, like,
you mean like smaller business that
a
can
smaller
pay
business
you
that is like really good for my own life.
Yes.
But like doesn't do extreme growth.
Yes.
Or
like gives you the freedom and maybe financial freedom you want as well.
Exactly. Which it was.
Yeah.
You know, like it gave me a very, very comfortable life. Having said that, it was still a startup and it was still stressful and it still came with those same limitations. But like, I was very lucky that I had it when I had a baby. Like no one was telling me when to come back to work or I was working from home. Like it gave me a lot of freedom, and I'm very grateful for the learnings and the journey, but I don't regret it.
That's so interesting about no one regretting it. Cause I think probably when you put enough time between you and the thing, you move on eventually and you move on to something else that hopefully is like the reason.
Yeah.
A lot of people's second businesses are more successful than their first.
Exactly. And it's not to say that
shortcutting the whole thing.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not to say that when I got out, I was like, oh my God, I'm so happy I did this. I felt the opposite. No.
Yeah.
But I still think I don't regret it.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so maybe this is a good time to ask about like any sort of like identity crisis. I know obviously it was really hard that for you personally because I'm your friend about the week, following where you're like, I don't have Floom anymore.
Yeah.
And I think in some instances the founder's still attached to the business for another year or 2 or 5 even. So for you, it was like cut and dry. You're no longer a part of it. Like how emotionally, how was that? And are you better now? Like,
yeah, I'm still processing it, I think. But like you said, it's so part of your identity, like your company, especially when you start a company in your 20s. I think it is like it fed you. And in LA, like you walk into a room and like, what do you do?
Yeah.
Like, what do I do? I don't do anything now. Well, I do this podcast. Thank you. But I definitely was like, who who am I?
Yeah.
What do I want? What do I do? And probably some of that was like the leftover from motherhood as well.
For sure.
But then again, like I've spoken to so many friends who have sold their company and they're like, no, it takes like a year or 2 years. And like, you need to go on a retreat and just like cry for 10 days.
Oh, what's the one retreat, you know, oh, I have to think about what it's called, but there's like the retreat where you totally detox from your phone. No, it's not about founders even. You
Excellent?
No, I'll think about it and put it in the show notes. But basically it's like, it's a retreat where you don't have your phone. You don't go with anyone you know. And I think you go for 5 days at least somewhere in nature. It's many locations actually. I've had a lot of friends that have done it actually and said it was life changing. So I need to think of the name.
Do that as well.
You should definitely do it, but you have to leave Cleo.
Yeah, I am gonna do something like that. I think at some point.
What are you gonna do?
There's a few that friends have sent to me as well.
Should we go? I have one in November. We should talk about.
Oh my god, let's go.
Okay,
let's do an episode when we're there.
Oh wait, I have. Okay,
no, we probably won't be allowed to do that.
I'm sure we will. They're great. Yeah, I mean, I guess I want to dive in a little bit more on the identity thing though, because I do feel like who am I with Obala, because it was in my 20s and now I'm 30 something. So what, like anything that's helping you so far? I know you just sold it, but like, is there anything that's helping you see the other light? I can see how it would take at least a year.
A lot of alcohol. No, just kidding. Yoga and meditation.
Wine every night.
Natalie. The first thing that really helped, and maybe this is like, oh, it was such a girly thing to say, is I literally cried every single day the following week.
Cried in the bath. Like,
I literally cried like on bathroom floors at the gym. I cried on hikes. Like there was just days where I'm like, I can't have another person ask me like, what's next or how are you feeling?
That's a lot.
And I would hold back tears and I would just like have to find like a room to cry in.
Yeah.
And I felt so good afterwards, but I did just fucking cry.
Yeah.
For a really long time.
Let it rip.
And text you being like, who the fuck am I? What's next? What if I never feel this again?
Yeah. It's a breakup.
It's a 10-year breakup.
Yeah.
For sure. Where that person, you molded to that person.
For sure.
Almost.
You created and molded.
Yeah. So
and your whole day was
a lot
spent.
Of crying.
Your whole day was spent. You woke up and worked on Floom all day. So it's like now not only do you have a blank
fucking
calendar.
And it turns out all my friends have jobs. So like
tough. I know you're like, you want to go to the
lying
Soho
by
house?
The pool on my own.
You're like, you want to come to the Soho house? I'm like, I cannot make that right now.
Cry me a river. I had to go lie by the pool.
I know, that's
no one
so
around
sad.
Me. And also I wasn't doing that. I still was like winding things up and tying things up. And I also like felt a lot of pressure to know what was next. And I also had have another company idea. Mm-hmm. And I am trying really hard not to jump into something new.
Okay. So are you just like sort of working? I know about it, but are you working a little bit and then you'll unveil it in like 6 months or something?
I am not going to make any commitments to anything.
That's
it's the one commitment I'm making.
I like that. No pressure.
Yeah. Except
take the pressure
I
off.
said that to you and then you made me start a podcast.
I know. And now here we are recording like every day. So
I have a full-time job.
But this is just fun for you.
No, it's so much fun. Any excuse to hang out with you all day.
Oh my gosh. I love it. Okay. So what were like the hardest decisions you had to make like during the entire process? Because how do you even, if you have multiple people bidding on you, or I mean, how do you even make some of these decisions? What were some of the hard decisions you had to make?
I think that was the hardest decision, was picking the right buyer.
Yeah.
You do it for multiple reasons, like what is best for your shareholders, what is best for the team, like what do you truly believe in terms of like what strategy they want to go down, and are they serious? You know, there was some smaller companies that I was like, I don't think they're serious. I think they just like want to be in. They wouldn't actually do it. And what I learned is I had no fucking idea what I was doing in that scenario because I picked the big company.
And they weren't serious.
They were serious, I suppose, but like they, for whatever personal reasons, backed out.
And you had no one else in the running.
Once you sign a letter of intent, you sign exclusivity. So it means that you need to tell everybody else.
That's not fair that they can just back out, but you have to be exclusive.
I mean,
it's not fair.
It's literally like dating.
Yeah, I know.
They can still fuck other people, but you can't.
It's crazy.
There's no controlling. And I think also like there's no way to have known.
Yeah.
Hindsight is 20/20. But we spent a lot of time going down the wrong process. And then because of tariffs in the economy and they're a public company and their share price was dropping, they essentially backed out. They like didn't say they were backing out, but they were like, we're not going to be able to get this done in your timeline. And they removed the exclusivity. And the minute they did that, I was like, oh, you're backing out. But they would not say we're backing out.
So how long was so
in the long run,
how long was it from like literally the day you were like, I'm going to sell this thing to?
I started reaching out to people in September of 2024 last year.
So, okay.
I got my first letter of intent in December of last year.
That's pretty quick. But then that one fell through.
That was 4 months. No, that one I got in January.
Okay.
So I already had other ones.
So it can be under a year, the process.
Oh, definitely.
Okay. That's just...
But then like I never closed that process. Like we signed it Feb 28th and then in April they were still saying they needed several months. I think they were saying to me that their processes tend to be over 90 days.
Okay.
From signing.
So pretty short, but I guess it's just tough because it's like if something can fall through, that's just...
Yeah, it also depends on company size. Yeah. You know, it's not like we were $100 million business.
Yeah.
So...
Which if you're a $100 million business,
I'm sure it drags on and the due diligence is insane.
That's even harder because you have a shorter list of buyers.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so it was really, really long. Would I have done anything differently? You know what? Probably not. I don't think there was anything that I missed or I didn't look out for.
It just happened like that. Okay,
and I would say my one biggest asset though, which I didn't utilize early enough, were other founders who had just sold their company. And there was so much around structure, like how to structure the LOI, how to structure the deal, that I just didn't understand. That once I started to have those conversations, I realized there was, different ways to think about how my team might make money or I might make money with liquidation preferences, or that I could ask my investors to, share some of the purchase price with me if it didn't go over their liquidation preference. Like there was just so many things that I was learning was a possibility beyond things just being like black and white. This is how it works. Like,
so who put together the structure? Did you put together the structure of it?
I put it together with the buyer ultimately.
Okay.
But understanding that there's different ways to structure deals was not something that I had ever known about. And I also didn't know that like once I signed an LOI and started the due diligence process, like most buyers do like daily calls. And my first buyer like didn't do any calls even 2 months in. And I was like, oh, so you guys aren't reviewing things as fast as you should be. And it took
that's a sign. That's a sign that they're not serious.
I don't know if they weren't serious. They were just busy.
Yeah.
And we were just misaligned on timeline.
Okay.
They were a very, very big company. And we were still doing strategy calls. We were still speaking on a daily basis, but we weren't doing
I wish we could say who it was. I wish we could say it was. We can't.
I'm not going to say who it was. Okay. But people can go try to figure it out.
ChatGPT. Okay. Should you sell your company? It's probably tough because it's probably when you love it the most. If your company is like super hot or trendy or doing really well, should you sell it on a high when it's hot? Like, what do you think?
I mean, it depends what you want
out of life.
Right? Yeah.
That's the answer.
Yeah. And what you're willing to keep putting in. I don't think it's about like if it's on a high or on a low.
Yeah.
I think it's about what works for you right now.
Right. It's kind of like internally.
And that's for people like us who like their identities are tied to their businesses. And they, like if you have like 10 businesses and you don't care and it's kind of like these things run themselves, like, by all means, like hold on to it for 40 years and sell it. But who's
that? I mean, who's that? I feel like
I feel like there are people.
There are people like that. But a lot of people are passionate about it.
Yeah.
So, okay, how closely will you be watching Floom? Are you checking Instagram daily? Are you
I haven't even looked at the website
seriously
once.
Aren't you curious what will happen from here?
I still speak to my team.
Okay.
Who went with the company.
And do you
so
know
I
if
kind
they're
of like
doing
know.
Well? They're like happy there? It's only been a couple weeks.
I think it's like too early.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been like a month and a half.
Okay.
So I kind of know, but I don't know. I maybe I'm like, this is like a protective mechanism, but I'm
Yeah.
really just like, I don't really think about it.
Wow, that's crazy.
I don't
feel
like
it
look
might
at the
be-
website. I don't look at the Instagram. I obviously think about the fact that I'm like still mourning
Yes.
losing it.
Okay.
But I'm just trying to like focus on other things and look up.
I like that. That's like a perfect note to end and move on to hot takes.
Perfect.
So, does your company need to be your identity to be successful?
I think we kind of just touched on this, and the answer is no. I think women more than men, let me know what you think about that.
Okay.
Think the answer is yes. Like, I think we feel
I agree
like
with that.
we need to like be really invested in the purpose. We need to be passionate about what we're doing, and we need to like physically show up as the brand spokesperson. Whereas, and I feel like men totally shy away from that and have like great companies, obviously, as we know, and can be very successful without tying so much of their identity to it.
That is so, I think that's a hot take and I agree with that.
Yeah.
I agree with that. And I think also a lot, like now there's this whole, the added, you kind of touched on this, but the added element of like, you have to be like the face of the brand. And I think that's female like leaning.
Totally.
You know?
How many male owned brands do you know where you know who the founder is?
Yeah, but all the women, it's like we also have to be the face of the brand, which is a lot
And
of
they're all
freaking
doing like,
work.
everyone thinks like we all think we have to like do these like cringy TikToks, which no one fucking likes doing.
Some people like it.
Putting ourselves
This is
out
gonna
there
go
all
on
the time, getting fucking canceled. Like,
Yeah.
why can't we just sit behind a desk and like have some strategic thought and just run our companies from there?
That's so
we, like, I
men
think
versus
we
women.
drive each other to feeling like we have to be out there all the time.
It's true.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, I like that. So, do you need time off between companies, or should you go from one thing to the next? It's kind of like time off between relationships, or just zoom right in.
I think after a relationship, you got to start having sex immediately.
Oh, so you have to start other companies immediately.
I think there are little ones more committal than the other.
True.
No, I know people who are like after relationships, they like take a year to bounce back. I'm like, no, I'm out there.
You're out
Not looking for a partner, but like I'm definitely a distraction
Oh, same.
person.
I'm like, if I'm 3 months single, I'm 3 months hitting
Mingling.
the bars. I'm mingling. I'm mingling. Okay, I'm mingling.
So do you need time off? Probably. But also, like I said, I had already mentally moved on. Mm-hmm. And I was like so excited to do something else.
You've
and
been
I
slowly
don't have
weaning
any
it.
unemployed friends. So like I'm not just, I have like a kid, a life, a family. Like I'm not taking 6 months off to go sit on a beach.
Yeah.
Like we don't want to lose the structure of our life. I also couldn't fucking do that. I would go crazy.
Yeah. Just reading
So
books all day.
you
It
need-
sounds nice though.
I think you need something, some sort of break, be it 2 days, 2 weeks, whatever you call it, to kind of just like process what happened and not fully distract from it. And you might do that whilst you're starting something else.
Yeah.
Or interviewing for jobs, whatever it may be. I think that people should stop expecting you to take 6 months to a year off.
Right. That's hard.
It's like what everyone
Idle hands
has been telling me to do.
Idle hands are tough.
What do you do with that?
What do you do with idle hands?
No. Start 10 companies.
Yeah, exactly. Does selling your company give you clout?
You tell me. Do you think I'm cooler?
I do. I think it's just like it's
That's
like
fucked up.
It's a feather in your cap.
Yes.
It is.
It does give you clout, just like raising money gives you clout.
Now you're a second time founder, which I know is a lot easier to raise money.
I mean,
There's
I'm not
lot.
a founder yet, but yeah.
Well, when you start something else, like you will be a second time. And I know that, I mean, I remember getting told no from investors saying like, oh, you're a first time entrepreneur. You have no idea what's ahead.
Yeah.
It's like being a second time is something.
For sure. I agree with that. I do think that if people want to find an excuse, they'll find an excuse.
Yeah. So they just didn't want to end. But that is a thing. Like you're more, it's like, it's validating that. It would be
Yeah,
your
I think it's
second time.
validating. I think that it shows that I built something that people wanted, and that was represented in the fact that like people used it. But I also built something that a strategic buyer wanted, and I followed through to the point of, even though I wanted out transparently, to making sure it had a home and it had a good outcome and the team had a place to go and it lived on.
That was
So,
a good thing you did, honestly.
yeah, I know. I'm Basically Mother Teresa.
Mother Teresa, just selling your company. All right. Well, that was super interesting. So thank you for sharing all of that.
So fun. Thanks. Thanks for watching this episode of Hot Takes, Big Stakes. If you liked the episode, please like, subscribe, and drop a comment below.